Let's dive into Solana. Let's go. Okay, so first and foremost, we got to talk about Solana's placement. It is the number 8th coin on CoinMarketCap, which makes it a pretty big deal. But just a year ago, actually less than a year ago, I'm recording this in September, and the January 3rd, 2021 historical snapshot shows us that Solana was actually just in the 112th spot less than a year ago.
Wow.
That puts Solana's price at around $2 per coin. And when we look at it now, it's sitting at $115 per coin. An absolute crazy run up of over 50, almost 60x for the project in less than a year.
Now, Lamborghini.
So a big congratulations for those of you who own it and have owned it for a while, because you're probably sitting really nicely as far as profits go. If we take a look at the all-time chart, it looks absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this is one of the most exuberant run-ups I've seen, next to probably Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so what is grabbing people's attention and leading people to buy into Solana's platform? What is Solana essentially? Well, Solana is a tool that allows you to build crypto apps that scale. Now, what are some of the problems that they're trying to solve? Well, they're trying to solve the scalability issue, which a lot of projects, even Ethereum, have that very said issue. The other thing that they're wanting to fix and work on is creating it to be a low-cost platform. Now, having a low fee structure is actually really, really good and important when you want to build a solution that's scalable. And the last thing is composable, and Solana plans to ensure the composability between projects where you will never have to deal with multiple shards or layer 2 systems. So essentially saying goodbye to high fees and slow confirmations. Solana is built for speed without trade-offs. Ethereum, being a really popular platform, is currently flooded with new projects, partly due to the recent rise in DeFi platforms. Sadly, this congestion equates to more fees and transaction delays for the average user. I mean, personally, when I send Ethereum, I spend a lot of money in gas fees. The other day, I was trying to send $700 and I was paying somewhere like $40 or $50 in gas fees. But this is something that Solana aims to fix. And if a project is actually able to fulfill that scalability and high fee structure issue that we're having right now with a lot of the modern day projects, that will increase adoption and more developers will want to come onto the platform. And that leads more people and users to actually experiment with the apps that these devs are developing. So Solana avoids these issues by introducing systems that allow the network's transaction throughput to scale proportionally to its bandwidth. For example, Bitcoin can handle 7 transactions per second, Ethereum can handle around 12, and according to developers, Solana is capable of 50,000. Remember that because we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this video. But some of the apps that you can see on Solana's ecosystem are listed here. I can go through each one, but that'll probably take a few days because there's 302 different use cases already on the Solana network. But if you look at the filters up here, you can see that there's a lot of things that you're probably already familiar with that is being built on Solana. Anything from analytics to apps to bots to cross-chain platforms to dApps to DeFi to exchanges to governance tokens, NFTs, a lot of things that are being built on Solana, which is super awesome to see. And the more projects that Solana takes on, the more probability for this thing to continue growing into the distant future, as we have seen lately. So what actually defines a good project besides usability and scalability? And that is having a good and strong community around a certain project. And that's what we have here on the screen. Telegram, Discord, Twitter, News, GitHub. Solana has built a community on YouTube, which I think is really, really important. Reddit, which I think is super, super big for something like this as well. But essentially, if you have a community in a project, that means you have a cult-like following, kind of like Bitcoin or Dogecoin, or if you want to talk about companies, maybe like Tesla or Apple, where you have this big following of people that believe in your core message and what you're trying to build. And that is what you see here with Solana's community. Now, when we're talking about investing in Solana, you need to know how Solana actually works. And essentially, Solana is a delegated proof of stake network. This is similar to Cosmos, Algorand, and essentially where Ethereum is going to end up with Ethereum 2.0 as well. So DPoS networks differ from PoS networks in a couple of different ways. So both mechanisms utilize validators to process transactions. Validators are chosen based on their overall holdings in the network. The more SOL you hold, the higher the chances you get chosen as a validator. This strategy ensures that only those vested in the network hold this position. Now, validators earn rewards when they approve transactions and add them to the blockchain. Those who aren't validators can still secure some easy profits by delegating their holdings to one of the validators. This system allows everyone to participate in securing the network and allows the users to decide what nodes deserve to validate transactions. And a big reason why they chose DPoS is because DPoS networks are multiple times faster than PoS blockchains. The average block time for Solana is 2.34 seconds. However, bench tests have shown the network can approve blocks in as little as 1.6 seconds. This is as fast as Visa transactions. This is super big, especially when we're talking about sending transactions peer-to-peer versus companies like Venmo or PayPal, which still have a 2 to 3 day business due diligence period that they are all subject to. So this fact alone is why a lot of people consider Solana to be one of the most advanced blockchain technologies in operation currently. The developers behind this project succeeded in creating a network that could surpass today's payment processors in terms of TPS and functionality. As such, you can expect to see more developers make the switch over to Solana as their original blockchains continue to suffer scalability concerns, which is a big reason why we saw Solana rise from early this year from the number 112 spot to now the 8th spot in its overall size as far as market cap is concerned. Hey, Future Rue here. As I'm editing this video, Solana actually has just beat out Dogecoin for the number 7 spot when it comes to overall market cap. I just wanted to mention this to keep this video as up to date as possible. Okay, carry on. And that probably makes you think, well, where should I buy Solana? Is it okay to still buy Solana even though it's already climbed so much? I mean, we're talking about a climb of 50x in a very short period of time. Has it reached optimal velocity? And in my opinion, yes, I think it has gone up incredibly over the last few months. I mean, even after this huge rise that we saw back here in April and May, it crashed back down from the levels of 40, almost $50 per coin, all the way down to 23, and now we're sitting at 100. So even if you were able to catch this bottom here, literally just a few months back, you'd be sitting at over 5x returns on your initial investment. So that is something that's crazy to think about. And so has it reached a final top? Well, not for the long term. When looking at the support levels, if you were thinking about buying in, again, this is just what I would do, is I would start dollar cost averaging in. I would honestly feel comfortable buying Solana in the $40 range in huge chunks. But it is possible that we never see those levels again because of the scalability solution that Solana is. But of course, with any great project comes a lot of volatility. So we might actually happen to see those prices once again in the short to medium term. When it boils down to the long term of the project, I mean, if this is something that could essentially take over Ethereum's size, well, Ethereum is sitting at over $300 billion in market cap, probably closer to $400 billion at the time that you're watching this. And Solana is actually only sitting at $33 billion at the time of making this video. So what does that mean for Solana if it were to overtake Ethereum? Well, it would mean an over 12x in market cap. That would put its price at over $1,000 per SOL token. Now, again, I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon, but a lot of companies are already looking to other investment vehicles in the crypto space outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Solana happens to be one of them. And you might be wondering, for those of you who have never bought the token before, you might be thinking, where can I look to even purchase it? Well, here are some places that you can buy it. Obviously, Binance, Coinbase, and a few others you might have not heard of, but the main ones are on here. So if you wanted to get a piece of Solana, you can do so on the major exchanges that you're probably already familiar with. So if you're thinking about buying it, I wouldn't necessarily put all my money into it all at once. Maybe if you wanted to get some foothold in it, you start putting a little bit of money into it. But again, it's not financial advice. This is just personally what I would do if I wasn't in Solana already.